Welcome on board, everyone. Hummingbird Daily Soul Food is back once again with another one. Still on our lifestyle and culture segment. You know, learning is a never-ending cycle. It's a never-ending journey. So today's episode is about accents. Yeah. So what about my accent? What about it? I've had occasions where I just meet people and the moment I open my mouth to speak, they go, "Where do you come from?" That's if they haven't heard my name already. And once it's been established that I am from Akwa Ibom State, the next thing they go, "Oh, you don't sound like them." Shortly followed by, "You're probably not based there. Are you based in Lagos? Are you based in Port Harcourt, Abuja?" And in my head, I'm like, rolling my eyes, as though the aforementioned places are like the center of a good English command. I don't get. So, an accent generally is a distinctive way of pronouncing a language, especially one associated with a particular country, a region, area, or a social class. Accent comes from the Latin word accentus, which means the intonation of singing. So your accent is the way you sound when you speak. Yeah, a distinctive manner of oral expression. So in social linguistics, an accent is a manner of pronunciation peculiar to a particular individual, location, or nation. An accent may identify the locality in which its speakers reside, the socioeconomic status of its speakers, their ethnicity, their caste or social class, their first language, and so on. So accents typically differ in quality of the voice, the pronunciation, the distinction of vowels and consonants, stress and prosody, and all of that. So I don't know, the way we sound when we speak a second language, it's kind of like influenced by our first language, sometimes our native languages. Yeah, so we do so often some people may do so using the rules or sounds of their native language, their first language. For example, you might hear a Portuguese native saying, "I can't hear you," like ear, instead of "I can't hear you." It's not a mistranslation from the original expression. It's just that the H sound in house or here doesn't exist in the Portuguese language. It doesn't. For Spanish, it just happens to be the J letter that makes the sound that we here as English speakers perceive as the H sound. Like we all know Jose Mourinho. If it's to be articulated in English, it should be Jose, like Jose. If we were to spell it as an English speaker, the way it is being pronounced by the Portuguese or the Spanish, it would be Jose, Hose. But it's pronounced Jose, Hose, with an accent on the E. So you get that. Even in French language, the same thing goes, like E and O. That alphabet E and O is not pronounced like that in French language. Like E is pronounced O if it's without the accent in French. So these factors sometimes come into play in the way we articulate words. Hence the confusion between Y and J in my dialect, the famous junction and junction, or Johnson and Johnson. So I'm more concerned about the accent bias though and discrimination we often face. Yeah. Because you get people asking you all these questions. So you've been speaking English for so many years that you don't understand almost everything when you listen to you feel like you understand almost everything, when you listen to people speak, but you still cannot figure out why sometimes when you speak English you cannot help but notice that blank expression on your listener's face, trying to figure out what did you just say, or you can't seem to shake off that feeling of terror of having to speak in front of people for fear of being judged or criticized because of your English or your speech. So newsflash, English is not CARICOM here in Nigeria. It is a borrowed language. You cannot do past yourself. You cannot blame your parents for not relocating you to Lagos or Abuja or Yankee when you were 2 years old. Because, I believe as human beings, we all have accents. We all do. If you listen to Cristiano Ronaldo speak, you would notice a bit of interference of his first language, which is Portuguese, in his English. I have watched some Spanish operas and Indian movies to know that, their English sounds a certain type of way. Even a typical French citizen, his or her own accent always comes into play when they speak sometimes. So why do we use the manner of speech articulation as a yardstick to measure a person's status, to measure a person's exposure, or even how smart they are? We use it as a yardstick to size people up and know if to accord them some level of respect. What we should be more concerned about is if the person is able to communicate effectively or convey his or her thoughts in a manner that one can understand. At some point growing up, I have been guilty of this perception. We've sat down in class while we're in school to pick apart a teacher's or a lecturer's mistakes or grammatical blunders to have a good laugh at our spare time. The things we did as kids. But in time, maybe call it empathy, I've had to reevaluate myself, my own accent biases against a particular accent, especially the ones from my birthplace, because let's face it, it does sound funny sometimes. I've asked my friend once, what if you approached me to woo me after checking me out, and then you come to me and then I opened my mouth to speak and boom, what are you talking about? It comes out, would you still fancy me? I asked him, and he laughed and told me he would have literally taken to his heels, he would have left as fast as the breeze. And we both laughed about it. So come to think of it now, why did I not wish to have the accent? Is it because I consider it somewhat inferior in some way? Or is it because I know that people with certain regional accents like ours are disadvantaged when it comes to certain opportunities in life, or generally the quest for acceptance? I love the accent. I feel like I've come to love it. I feel like it is part of our identity and it should not be a basis for judging the people we come in contact with. The accents are an integral part of our identity. The diversity here is what makes us beautiful. It binds us together at the same time. Imagine, maybe, I don't mean to blow my horn, but the relationship was beautiful. So imagine if he had taken to his heels and would have literally missed out on something that would have been so beautiful just because I sounded like young Sean. So, but the hidden biases could be symptomatic. People have accentism. When we impose our judgments about a specific person on the whole group or community that the individual belongs to, then we have a bias. According to research, we tend to unconsciously group people into a certain or specific social class and prejudice against them based on their accent, by thinking that someone with a particular accent is not very smart or clever. We are showing our unconscious bias. Accents are also prone to quick judgments and stereotypes. It is common for us to linguistically profile a speaker and place them in a particular ethnic region, socioeconomic class, and even their backgrounds in our heads by just the first few seconds of listening to them speak. In our heads, we've already placed them somewhere else. So Salma Hayek, for instance, she's an actress. She still carries traces of her Spanish accent. She's from Mexico, but she carries traces of her Spanish accent. It's so glaring. It's very obvious. In her movies, even on red carpet, you'd hear it, but that she's not ashamed of it. She carries herself very well, regardless of all of that. But that doesn't stop her from landing roles in Hollywood movies. But some of us already write people off once we realize they have a particular intonation or poor English command, and we automatically do not wish to associate with them. And even if we do, some people would just end up making them like the jest of the group. Okon Lagos is just a Nollywood character. It's a Nollywood role, and his movie's persona had been built around and shaped around that particular role. But it doesn't mean that everyone from Akwa Ibom State sounds that way. But even if we do, does that make us inferior? Does that make us less of human beings, as in of Nigerians? I might be too serious, but I feel it's not perfectly okay to just banter or joke about people's accents. If you wouldn't joke about Arsene Wenger's accent when he speaks English, then don't joke about mine. If it's still normal for C. Ronaldo to speak English with a little bit of Portuguese accent, then it's okay to have a Nigerian accent, regardless of whatever region it is you come from. A quick survey of various non-discrimination policies in different institutions mostly have race, ethnicity, and gender explicitly mentioned when speaking of inclusivity, but accent is never mentioned. A person should not be made to feel any less because of his or her accent, As long as they are able to communicate and be understood effectively in English, then I don't really see what the problem is. In fact, as a friend, or if you know someone, I think there's a way you cordially correct someone if they've made a mistake, at least if you're close to someone to some extent, without having to shame the person or belittle the person or make the person feel less of himself. So, by the way, I am a firm supporter of teach your kids their dialect first. Like, stop all this, come here, go here, when a baby is just how many months old. Leave the English language, leave that job for their teachers. Yeah, I don't know, but that's the way my parents brought me up. They did that to us. We first of all learnt Ibibio. That's our first language, my dialect. And then subsequently, when we started nursery primary school, we graduated to learning English. I learned English language from school. I am also an advocate of native names over English names. My name is Mfon Bassey, and I love my name. My name means grace. There's actually, what's the thing? There's the meanings to these names. Like, let's preserve whatever is left of our culture, of our heritage. These things are beautiful. I love my name. My name is beautiful. I don't know about you. So we need much more awareness of accent bias in our everyday life, because we meet people every day. We get to see people in different walks of life. So no individual should have to be judged on the basis of his or her grip in English language. No go they do pass yourself, sha. So this is Mfon Bassey signing out once again. I do hope you learned one or two things to be more accommodating and less judgmental of people just because they speak or sound a certain type of way. So do have a lovely day, and sending you lots of love from here. Thank you for listening in. Thank you for your patience. Thank you.